Hello, welcome everybody. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes. And so while people are arriving, it'd be great to check out your skills around the comments section. Feel free to let us know where you're logging in from tonight. Again, we're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. Um, Before we get started, just encourage you, if you're here, let us know where you are joining us from. I know in the past we've even had a few joiners from outside the United States, actually. But as you know, we probably have people joining from all over the country. I see Ohio, Wisconsin. All right, got the Big Ten schools, Big Ten states representing. Great to see. Again, we'll get started here in just a minute. So, Indiana, all right, we got Indiana, Ohio, Wisconsin, Illinois. Oh my goodness, we are covering. I'm in Ohio, so we are covering the great Midwest. So it's great to see. It's awesome. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So, hello and welcome everyone. My name is Nicholas Hall. I'm the founder and the president of Graham's Foundation. I'm grateful that you're joining us for our 2022 Teenies for Parents of Preemies. 2022 has been an exciting year for Graham's Foundation, and I look forward to sharing some of the highlights with you here this evening. Now, as you can see on the slide, I have thoroughly enjoyed getting back in the world, sharing my music and my art, but also reconnecting with friends and family, especially many that belong and support our special community of preemie parents. Tonight is all about celebrating parents of preemies and the entire community of family and friends, medical professionals, donors, volunteers that all come together to support one another when we preemie parents and our preemies need it most. I've got a bunch of fun conversations lined up for tonight with members of our community, some fun giveaways, and an opportunity to support Graham's Foundation as well. Now, I know firsthand the overwhelming experience of the preemie parent journey. I know what it feels like to say goodbye to your baby far too early. I know what it's like to sit by the isolate day in and day out. And I know what it's like to finally bring your baby home. And I also know the long road that many of our preemies face once they do come home. We at Graham's Foundation continue to hold the vision that no parent go through the journey alone, that all parents, in whatever way works for them, feels loved and supported. And our mission is simple: to inform and guide parents of preemies so that they may confidently navigate the journey of prematurity. And we are able to deliver our mission every single day because of our passionate and our dedicated team. And I want to take a few minutes to actually interview our newest team member, Amanda Tellman.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Amanda. Good evening.
Good
How are you?
evening. I am doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm awesome. And our
Good.
team is, spread out all over the country, and you're joining us from.
Indiana,
All
south side
right,
of
that's right.
Indianapolis.
The South Side. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Well, thanks. Thanks for spending some time with us. So, You actually wear quite a few hats. I know the title on the slide says Care Package and Community Outreach Coordinator, but you do even more than that for Graham's Foundation. Could you maybe take a minute to share a little bit about some of the ways that you've gotten involved in helping Graham's Foundation?
Sure. I actually joined Grams by becoming a volunteer. Um, it's probably been a little over a year now. And so my family was trying to find a way to give back. And I had found Grams on one of those nights where I was sitting in the emergency room with my daughter. It was about 2 weeks after we had transitioned home. And she was having a accelerated heart rate and labored breathing. I remember calling the after hours number at the NICU, and to my surprise, they were like, she is no longer a patient of ours, so we can't treat
Right.
her.
Yeah.
And
You're like, what?
I felt like the rug was pulled out from underneath my feet
Yeah.
again. I had no idea what to do. And so sitting at the hospital on a Google search, a late night Google search,
Mm,
trying to figure out who do I rely on now,
yeah.
and stumbled across Graham's Foundation. And so got paired up with Megan Snyder, who's another team member. And by talking to her, she helped me kind of get my feet planted again. And I was trying to find ways to give back to Grams, having no idea in what capacity I could really do that
Sure.
with, and found a way to fundraise through the Indianapolis Colts and working concession stand. So I roped in my family members, and we we volunteered for 5 football games last year,
Yeah.
and we're able to raise quite a bit of money doing that. And we have continued that process. So
Yeah. It's
I've
fantastic.
yeah, so I kind of got into the fundraising piece of it a little bit, but overall, my job responsibility is to get the preemie parent care packages out, to build a relationship with NICUs, and to provide our resources so that they can provide them to their families as well. But yeah, so it's
Yeah.
a little bit of everything
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, well, you took on that, we had a real need to, get our care packages out quickly,
Mm-hmm.
correctly. And so, that was also an opportunity. If anybody could see Amanda's, where she stores all of the care package supplies, it would make any shipping clerk proud. So she's got a well-oiled machine, and we hear from a lot of neonatal intensive care units that would like to share about Graham's
Mhm.
Foundation as well. And so that's the community outreach. I think that, there's a lot more that we'll be able to expand on from there, but just being able to consistently follow up with neonatal intensive care units that have an interest in knowing about how we support families, and being able to follow up with them, and as their requests come in, is just it's been a huge help. So we really,
Yeah.
really, really appreciate it. Now, becoming a parent of a premature baby was not what you expected, as no parents ever expect, but
Right.
you weren't even really expecting to have a baby. So
Yep.
it was like you had a whole, it was a journey filled with unex, unexpectations. I don't know what the
Yeah.
right word is, but with yeah, with expectations that you were not planning on, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think my husband and I, struggled for years to become parents, and so we
Yeah.
had gone through almost 2 years of fertility treatments that were not
Yeah.
successful. We ended up going through a open adoption, and so we adopted our oldest daughter, and we're perfectly content and happy and blessed with our family of 3.
Yeah.
And then Holly was a April Fool's surprise for us. And we found out that we were expecting. And because we had had so many complications and we had experienced some miscarriages, we did not tell anybody for the first trimester. So kind of kept that to ourselves. Told our daughter that she was going to be a big
Yeah.
sister at 16
Understandable.
weeks.
Yeah,
Right.
completely understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't really have a lot of time to process that. Because like once we came to terms with us actually expecting, I mean, she was born 10 weeks later. So
Yeah.
um yeah, it was quite the journey and unexpected
And I
experience.
and I know, you've shared pretty candidly about, your journey on our we have regular blog posts where
Mhm.
parents share their experience, and you shared about the guilt that you felt, which is not, of course, at all unusual,
Mhm.
but it's difficult to kind of rationalize it um, in the moment. So, what are some of the things that helped you to deal with those feelings of guilt?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I was fortunate that I already had a therapist that I was seeing prior to finding out that I was pregnant. So I was still dealing with some trauma from the adoption process, and
Yeah,
so I did increase those appointments, so I could
yeah,
talk to him and just have somebody there in my corner, and that was more of a kind of an emotional release session, more than getting any help, but just kind of getting those crazy emotions out.
yeah,
I also think I was fortunate when I came in touch with Megan, having somebody that had experienced not the exact same journey that we had had, but
yeah,
something similar. It
yeah,
was nice because, you know, nobody in my family or friends had ever experienced prematurity before. So as much as everybody wanted to help and they were saying all of the right things, like let us know how we can help. The
yeah.
the fact was I didn't know what we
Hard
needed. I
to,
just
yeah. It's hard to
right.
it's hard to come up with. Like
Yep.
I was always happy when food showed up in the refrigerator
Yeah.
or somebody walked the dog. Like I never said no, but I didn't really know what to
Hmm.
ask for because it feels like this day to day. The world's not,
Yep.
the world's going on, but you're like your world is just like literally day to day. So you just,
Yeah.
yeah, no, and
Yeah.
so yeah, no, um I can completely appreciate that. Um, if you had to share advice for, if we have any parents that are joining us that are, potentially kind of in the going through the journey
Mhm.
right now, if you had any words of advice that you might share for those parents.
Yep. Two conversations stuck out with me during our NICU experience. One was with a physician that came in and said, you know, bottom line, like you're on this prematurity journey now, and
Yeah.
it is going to transform your life, whether you want it to or not. It is going to change everything about your life, and you have to kind of open your eyes to that and accept whatever comes with that, and be open to that. I think for me, the biggest part was that I'm a planner. I like to like know what I'm working towards and get there,
Mm,
and I want to be able to cross things off my list. And the prematurity journey for me, I had zero control over the
mm,
timeline that we were going to be on or what we were going to do each day. If it was going to be a good day or a bad day, I had no idea walking through those doors every day. And so once he told me that piece of information and
yeah,
knowing that
yeah,
you just have to be on the journey and accept whatever comes your way, it became a little bit easier for me.
yeah.
And then the piece of advice that I share with everybody and any parents that I mentor is from my favorite nurse that said,
Hmm.
on a very difficult day, and I was an emotional wreck, and she sat down on the couch next to me and said, whatever you are feeling today is exactly the way that you're supposed to be feeling.
Mm,
So if you are mad and you're angry, like that is okay to
yeah,
be mad and angry. If you're sad, cry it out. But
yeah,
also
yeah,
if you're happy or if something is funny, like don't be afraid to laugh and to share in that
yeah,
happiness. You
yeah,
don't have to control your emotions.
yeah.
I think
Feel it.
that's probably the most
Yeah,
important piece is that like whatever
yeah,
you're feeling, you're not alone, and that is what you're supposed to be feeling in that exact moment. So there's good days and bad
yeah.
days, and
Yes. Well, that's
yeah,
beautiful advice just for
mhm,
living, I think, right?
yeah, yes,
You understand
hmm,
every day is a new day when you're in the NICU, and then when you
yep,
bring your preemie home, and to really appreciate that. So it sounds like your role at Graham's Foundation with shipping out our care packages is good therapy because it gives you a chance
hmm,
to check a lot of boxes and cross a lot of things off your
yeah,
list. So we're
yes.
uh, we're
I'm in
grateful.
control of that. Yes.
That's right. So we're grateful for that. We're grateful that you're on our team, Amanda. Thanks for
Oh,
spending a little
thank
bit
you.
of
All
time with me tonight.
right, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. All right, so we've got a few giveaways, a few raffle item giveaways tonight, and I think the first one is going to come up on the screen if I'm not mistaken. We've got our longtime partner and sponsors, Dr. Brown's. Got a whole gift basket from Dr. Brown's, a whole lot of fun products, and the winner is Janice. I'm going to completely mess this up, but don't worry, we've got your information because you couldn't win unless you registered. So Janice Nayab Dadash. Janice Nayab Dadash is our winner for the first raffle giveaway. So, and thanks for Janice. Thanks for joining and for registering. So, earlier this year, longtime friends and advocates for the Preemie community, Christy Love and Andy Mail, joined our board of directors. Now, Andy is a managing director at Citizens Bank, and he helps clients in the healthcare sector with mergers and acquisitions. Now, he is actually a miracle preemie himself. He was born at 27 weeks gestation at Rainbow Children's in Cleveland, Ohio, back in the 1970s. And for those of you that understand what technology was available to neonatologists back in the 1970s, he's truly a miracle. And he is also the publisher of Go Preemies, a children's book which tells inspirational stories of the world's most famous preemies. And we're incredibly grateful to have Andy on our board, and it's been a real pleasure. Like I said, I've known him for years, and to have him and have him working and advocating on behalf of Grams has been a huge contribution. Now, Christy and I, we have worked together supporting the creation, actually, of the NICU Parent Network. Some of you may know it was originally called the Preemie Parent Alliance, and now it's called the NICU Parent Network. So along with the founder, Kira Sorrells, and several others. So I have known Christy for over, I think it's over a decade now. And she's a preemie mom, and she's also the executive director for the National Perinatal Association. So without further ado, there's Christy.
Hello, Nicholas.
Hello, Christy.
So
oh,
nice
I'm loving the Grams blue. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Very nice. I love that. So, well, thanks. It's great to see you tonight. And you're joining us from another Midwesterner, right? St. Louis? Yeah. SEC territory there in the great state of Missouri.
Yeah.
So you became a preemie mom in I think in the prior century. That's how old we are. What year was it, Christy?
1992.
1992
was my first experience with our daughter.
And you were pretty young.
I was a teen mom, high risk, and I delivered at a military hospital. Which was another
what was that like?
Well, boy, we would need a whole nother session just on that, right? So in a nutshell, I was in a military hospital and I shared a room with 3 other moms. So they were your bed rest rooms, had 4 beds in them. Yeah. And here was this young teen mom, unexpected pregnancy. And I always seemed to be with the moms who were dealing with fertility and losses. So that was really uncomfortable. And then when I delivered our daughter, I made it to 35 weeks, and they called it special care NICU, and it was just a full-term nursery with a breastfeeding screen. Wow. So that was an interesting transition. Fast forward to 8 years later when we had our son in a level 3 NICU.
Okay, so it's not a military setting, a different setting. And so you had your daughter in the early 90s, a military hospital, and then your son at 2000, kind of a traditional neonatal intensive care unit. Yes. But you were, if I'm not mistaken, at one of your local neonatal intensive care units, you were also a parent mentor and a parent advocate. So at the bedside for 20 years, if not longer?
Yes. Yes. And 8 of those years, I was able to be in a paid parent position.
which is, as we all know, is still fairly unique. So I'm curious, like, given that, the looking back on, over that period of time, it's 30. Oh, so your daughter's 30 years old.
She
30
is.
years. What are some of the things that you've seen that have changed for the better for parents and for the parental kind of journey, not only just in the NICU, but maybe as they transition home, and then also to that, if you could kind of, what are some things that you're maybe a little bit surprised or shocked that is still a struggle, right, or is still a real challenge today? So I'm curious.
Right. So when we had our son in 2000, we were in a level 3 NICU, and it was an open ward. Again, we knew no different. And so obviously, through my involvement in the hospital, I was able to be part of the planning committee when they built a new NICU and have private rooms. So definitely a huge advocate for the private rooms, but also um, they lifted the visitation hours. So parents were not considered visitors, quote unquote, and they were able to come in and out of the NICU 24 hours.
Wow,
Um,
what a novel idea. But I mean,
right?
yeah, like being able to potentially like see your baby at any time. It
Absolutely.
makes so much sense, but I know that. And back, I think, I know from talking with Andy's parents back in the 70s, they rarely ever got a chance to visit. It
Right.
was like, we'll let you know when it's time to take your baby home, kind of. I mean, it was
I've
that.
heard those stories and I
Yeah,
couldn't imagine for sure.
yeah,
And also, the bonding time has definitely transitioned. When we would go to see our son, we knew when his touch times were,
mm,
and they were by the book, like every 2 hours. Um, and when we were at those 2 hours that that we were kangarooing, doing skin to skin, when they were up, we had to put them back. As we say, we always felt like it was a toy. Can we take them out of the toy box? Now we can put them back. And now in the NICU that I was in, um, if baby is content, holding temperatures, everything
yeah,
is stable, we let that baby bond and be skin
yeah,
to skin. And I
yeah,
would watch moms and dads do skin to skin for hours. I mean, we're talking 4, 6 hours at a time. So definitely lots of changes, which
yeah.
we're really excited to see that.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of things were sort of according to the schedule of the nurses, and so many things was okay. It's this time to do this versus responding to the baby's cues, right?
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
what are some of the
We
um,
don't know what we don't know, though, right, Nick?
yeah,
So
absolutely, especially as a parent, right? It takes time to build, and that's our mission is to support parents so that they can confidently navigate the
absolutely.
journey, because ultimately it's about supporting the parent and being able to be an advocate for their baby, and that balance of you want to have a good relationship with with all the different individuals that are going to support you while you're in the NICU, but also as you transition home. And so that balance of being not afraid to ask questions and not afraid to
Right.
push a little bit. I don't want to be a nag, but I've got this question. I'm seeing something. If you could wave a magic wand, what would be something that if there's anything that you could, really that you think would make a significant difference for the parent experience? And I don't want to just limit it to the neonatal intensive care unit either, because it is a journey. As a lot of parents know, it's the journey continues when you transition home. I wonder if there's anything, and I know you guys are doing some amazing work at National Perinatal Association, because you see a lot of where the opportunities are, right, for improving
Right.
support for families.
So my number one is going to be mental health services for our
Mhm.
families. I
Yeah,
mean, there's such a need for it.
yeah,
I want to see every parent that walks through those NICU doors. It doesn't matter if they have a 22-weeker
yeah,
or a 37-weeker. Everyone have access to psychosocial support, whether it is um, a therapist who specializes in trauma or a NICU
yeah,
psychologist. As we know, Nick, we're facing trauma in our lives from the moment we walk through those doors. And
yeah.
from my personal experience, it was 10 years after my
Mhm.
NICU journey, even
Yeah,
with the work that I had been doing, that I did not realize the PTSD I had from it.
yeah,
It affected my relationship with my husband. We just were in survival mode, and
yeah.
so we know no different, and we cope how the best we can. And it's of course
Now, I
our
think
focus are on our kids.
you bring up a great point. I think a lot of us parents, we parents, I think yes, we parents go into survival mode, and we kind of say, okay, it's okay.
Absolutely.
We're gonna get through this, and once we get through this, we'll. And for a lot of us, we actually, as I look back, we never really got out of survival mode, and it has a tremendous impact on our relationships. Um, and so I echo your. I've often said parents should have to opt out of support. They shouldn't have to. They should not depend on some nurse saying, "Hey, I think you probably should talk to someone," because it's no, I'm good. I'm okay. I'm fine. So, yeah, I wish, but unfortunately, parents are still not yet the patients in the neonatal intensive care unit. And I think it's probably one of the challenges that
Absolutely.
why it's there isn't a box to check right now, like there is for support that you provide directly to the baby. So, well, look, Christy, it's been a real pleasure spending time with you tonight. And again, it's been beautiful to have you supporting Graham's Foundation on the board and helping spread the word of the
Thank you.
work that we're doing. And we love supporting the work that you're doing. And we're all lifelong advocates for our preemies and our parents. And just really thanks for everything, and thanks for being with us tonight.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, you bet. So while we are crystal clear on our vision and our mission, without clarity around our values, it can sometimes be difficult to make a decision when there are multiple options available. So this year, we established our core values as an organization to help further guide our day to day decisions. So, one example of our values in action is around quality and inclusivity. So earlier this year, we sent out a survey to parents that have received support from Graham's Foundation in the past. And I was really pleased that we received over 150 responses. And based on that feedback, I'm confident and I'm pleased to share that the feedback was that our programs are of the highest quality and they're also inclusive. However, we are not at all going to rest on that particular feedback. We have some exciting plans that I'll share a little bit more around that with our strategic plan that shares about some of our objectives that we have that are focused on continuing to improve our quality and our inclusivity. And we do plan to continue to survey our parents on an annual basis to make sure that we are continuing to meet the the quality that we stand for and the inclusivity as well. Now, at the heart of Graham's Foundation is our support programs. From the thousands of care packages we ship every year to our more than 3 dozen trained preemie parent mentors, our industry leading mobile app for preemie parents, My Preemie, and the thousands of vibrant and engaged followers of our online communities. These programs help support preemie parents in various ways that we all want to need and to feel supported. We know at Graham's Foundation that one size does not fit all. So we strive to have a size that's just right for each and every parent that comes to us for support. Now, while the care package program, you might say, is my baby, because that's where Graham's Foundation, that's where it all started nearly 13 years ago. The mentor program is certainly the one that I feel has some of the greatest impact. And I wanted to take a few minutes to talk to a couple of our parent mentors, Brendan and Mike. Look at all those
Hello.
fantastic. Look at all those. Hey, Brendan.
Good evening.
How's it going?
Hey, Mike. Good evening. So this could be the first time that 3 preemie dads have ever been on a screen together, right? It doesn't. We are. We are not often. I go to a lot of conferences, and there's not a whole lot of dad representation. So
We're like unicorns.
I'm really, proud, frankly, and so pleased that we have not one myself. I mentor parents that have had, going through loss of multiples, and Brendan and Mike. And so I'm going to start off with Brendan because Brendan's been a part of Graham's Foundation a little bit longer than Mike has. So I'm just curious, Brendan, when did your preemie journey start, and how did you find out about Graham's Foundation?
So my son Remy was born at 27 weeks and 3 days gestation in June of 2020. So right in the heart of COVID, when it all started. I first heard of Graham's Foundation due to a friend of mine. Her family sent a preemie care package to us, and that's how I found out about it. And I went through everything. I have the bracelet, which I still wear.
Yeah.
So it really kind of opened me up to Graham's and the mission. That was the first part of it. So the whole NICU experience, I was like, this is awesome. So.
Well, I tell you, I just was talking to a preemie mom last week. She got a care package from friends, similar to you, 8 years ago, and she still wears her bracelet every day. When I hear that, I'm just so blown away. What I love, for everybody that doesn't know, you can get a care package. You can request it yourself as a parent, but for a lot of what we found is for a lot of friends and family members, they're not sure what to do, what to say. Do you say congratulations, but your baby is, in an intensive care unit, and you don't know whether or not they're gonna, live tomorrow? So it's a real challenge for friends and family. So I think that care package option of knowing that it is something that is coming from an organization that understands the journey, understands exactly what these parents are dealing with, I think it gives those friends and family the confidence, right, to know that it's going to be well received from those parents. So, I get updates from you. You're a pretty good social media poster, so I get pretty good updates on how your son is growing every day. But at the same time, obviously, he's born in 2020, so he's got a whole heck of a lot of growth and development in front of him. So can you imagine there being value of kind of having the ability to continue to connect with preemie parents in the years to come? And just kind of curious what your thoughts are on that, and whether or not that's actually been your experience.
Certainly. I really, to be honest with you, for a couple months after becoming a parent, and I did not have a mentor myself. I came to Graham's kind of after the fact. I needed to do something with what I'd been through, and I wanted to share that with others. And
Yeah.
you know, I'd seen there's a few people I knew that had similar experiences, but not completely the same. And I wanted to kind of reach out and be able to say, "Hey, I've been through something like this, and I want to share what I know and relate my experience to you." And I think that that's where it kind of came from, is I just wanted to help, and I wanted to be present and acknowledge that something has changed within me, but I can also share it with somebody else too.
Yeah, I know we're getting a little bit of feedback, so we're gonna just keep rolling with it. Sounds like salt and pepper shaker, but that's okay. I think I think what you're sharing, I think Brendan, what you're sharing, and we hear this all the time, is that being a mentor is actually it's actually healing for the mentor as well. So it makes a difference for the mentee, but it also is incredibly valuable and healing for the mentor as well. So now I want to take a second to turn it over to Mike. Hey, Mike, how you
Good
doing?
evening. Fantastic. You?
Awesome, thanks. You sound great. So it turns out Brendan was your mentor,
That he was.
right? And I think Brent was Mike your first mentee. Yeah.
I did
And
not
so
know that.
yeah, and you have and Mike, you have a son born early as well, correct?
Yeah, Liam was born at 26 weeks, 5 days. He just decided I want to show up one night.
Yeah. By the way, you notice how every preemie parent knows exactly like the weeks and the days. We end up being kind of crazy like that. It's not unusual. We know how many days
Just
we
a
were in
little
the
bit.
NICU, all that. Yeah, kind of it happens. How curious, Mike? How did you find out about Graham's Foundation?
So we did stays at 2 different NICUs 4 different times. Right after he was born, we did just a little over a month at a local hospital. So it was nice and close. Probably every other night, I just couldn't sleep, and I just went up there, and I would just sit there for hours. I went into the parents' lounge to grab a cup of coffee, probably 1 a.m. one morning, and there was a flyer up there for Graham's Foundation with everything that they did. And I originally, first off, requested a care package, and once I was on the website looking at that, I saw, hey, there's mentors here. I'm like, yeah, I could use that. I need a little bit of help here. And then
I wish everybody that visits our website would stumble on our mentors and be willing to make that ask. I know it's not easy though. You know, it's for whatever reason, a lot of folks are, they're hesitant, right? So I guess is there is there anything that you would share that might compel someone that is aware of us and is thinking maybe a mentor could so Brendan, you have to close your ears. No, I know it's not a good experience, but what's been the impact for you? What difference has it made for you, that mentor mentee experience?
Brendan was absolutely amazing. And I did not know that I was his first mentee, because I would have thought he's been doing it forever and a day. Just being able to bounce stuff off and hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm going through. This is what the docs told me, and the docs, God love them, they are the best. But when they explain things, sometimes it's like, I don't get it. And he really helped me understand, because he'd been there. He's been there and done that.
No, you're right. I mean, it's over time, some of that, the terminology and the rhythm of the NICU, it starts to make sense, but it's a completely foreign language, right? It's completely foreign. So being able to think, like you say, talk to another parent, like, oh, grand rounds. Yeah, I know it. Like those terms, they know what those terms are, and they sort of understand generally where you are. Now you had, I know we would have to have another session to go through your unique journey of there being another child with the same name, I believe, just creating some massive confusion within your system within your particular
Yes.
healthcare insurance provider. But that's the circumstance. But I think you have discovered how incredibly important it is to be an advocate, and why it's so important to continue to be an advocate for your baby. So I guess just if you have any words of advice, or just if you just want to pile on my comment of just how critical and how important it is to advocate for your baby.
Oh, it never stops, and it's so vital. I think, though, one of the things that parents kind of, I don't want to say they get wrapped around the axle on, but they get in their head that, okay, I have to advocate in the NICU, I have to stand up for my baby, I have to do all those things, and that's 100% true. But really, I mean, the docs and the nurses and the NICUs are just some of the most amazing people in this world. I never felt like I needed to advocate for Liam with them. But I realized that it's everything outside of that building. Like you said, and I'll try to make it short, but there was another kid whose last name was Carter, whose mom was the same name as my wife, who was born in Fayetteville, North Carolina on the same day. His dad's in the Air Force. His dad's in the Army. I'm in the Air Force. When his dad got him registered as a dependent, the personnel down at Fort Bragg saw that there was already a Carter born the same date to an Anna Carter, and deleted my son's personnel record out. So my son was no longer a dependent. He was no longer covered under my health insurance the week he was getting heart surgery. And they did that twice. Yes, they did that twice. So that's where the advocacy kicks in, because that's not medical, but it's all the other stuff that you really have to advocate. It's not just in the NICU. It's advocating for at work. It's advocating for well-meaning families. Yep. I mean, my family has wanted to see him so bad, and there's family member, we just like, hey, listen, his lungs are still developing. It's still hard. Sketchy out there. I'm sorry, folks. So it's more than just being in the NICU. It's kind of never ending.
I think that's a great point. It's important to remember, and it can be difficult. It can be difficult to have those kind of conversations. I remember having to have those myself. So again, having a mentor, having a community, being able to, help me out here. What's the right thing what's a good thing to say, an appropriate way to respond is really, really important. And Mike, you're a mentor as well now, right? So
I am.
Like it's the circle, the full circle. So we're just incredibly grateful to you and to Brendan. You guys are, amazing advocates for Grams Foundation and for our parent community. So again, thank you, and thanks for spending some time with us tonight.
Of course.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, we're now going to have our second raffle giveaway, and I think we've got some more. Let's see. I know it's going to come up on the screen here in a second. Dun, da, da, da. Yeah, we've got some more Dr. Brown's goodies. A little bit different than the first one, and but more Dr. Brown's goodies. So the winner of the raffle item number 2 is Sydney Phillips. So Sydney, got some Dr. Brown's goodies coming your way. I want to take a second to give a big shout out and thank you to our sponsors, Angel Eye Health. I've known the team at Angel Eye since just after their founding. I remember going to all the industry conferences, and I remember first meeting the folks at Angel Eye, just coming up on, I believe it's coming up on 10 years now, actually. And to see their continued growth has been remarkable. For those of you that don't know, they provide cameras within the neonatal intensive care unit. So, it helps parents feel connected to their babies even while they're not there. And it's become even more than just cameras. They have a communication platform that helps parents be able to communicate with their providers while they're not able to be at the NICU as well. So they're continuing to grow. They're continuing to innovate, all for the support of our community. In fact, they were also just named to the prestigious Inc. 5000 list this year as well. So again, a huge thank you to our sponsor, Angel Eye Health, and also want to certainly recognize as well our longtime sponsors and partners, Pampers and Dr. Brown's. I had the opportunity finally this year to be able to sit down and spend some face-to-face time with folks with our good contacts, with our good relationships at both Pampers and Dr. Brown. So it's really nice to be able to see them again in person. We're appreciative of their continued support. We look forward to exciting plans that we have with both organizations in the year ahead. I will give a quick shout out one program worth mentioning for those of you that are Pampers customers. They have P&G customers. They have this program called Pampers Cash, and if you purchase a Pampers product, they've got every box has a barcode, and if you download the Pampers Cash app, you can turn that barcode. It turns into kind of virtual cash. You can use it to buy products that you might need for your baby, but you can also donate that virtual cash to Graham's Foundation. And they've been, Pampers has had Graham's Foundation as one of just a few options to donate for several years, and I got to say, it's just been, it's been a real difference maker for us. We never know exactly every quarter how much is going to be there that's been donated, but it's always it's a wonderful surprise, and we're again very appreciative to Pampers and to Dr. Brown's. I also, and those are two organizations that I'm sure many, if not all of you, know about. But I also want to take a minute to share about a few other organizations that help Graham's Foundation throughout the year in giving of their time and their expertise. Jennifer at Harper Lee in Toledo, Ohio, she engraves our remembrance bracelets. For those of you that don't know, in addition to, I know firsthand that we don't get to bring all of our babies home. And, my son Graham lived for 45 days. And we want to acknowledge and honor those parents that have lost their babies far too soon. And we provide our remembrance care packages at no cost, like all of our care packages. And that bracelet, it's probably a little bit hard to see on the screen, but on the inside, it has Proud Preemie Parent and Graham's Foundation on the outside. We engrave the baby's name, and that's a beautiful stainless steel cuff. And in addition to that, we also, provide the parents with some good resources that they can reach out to if they need to talk to anyone. And there's mentors like myself that are available as well. We also have in our care package bracelets, we have aluminum cuff bracelets. Say that 3 times quickly. And the team at Engraving and Stamp Center in Bloomington, Indiana, have been stamping those for us all this year, complimentary. So we're really appreciative to Blake and the entire team at the Engraving and Stamp Center. And then Rich and the team at Maddie and Bella, when we used to have in-person events here in Northwest Ohio, and they were always there with their desserts and their coffee. So now we're virtual, so I can't pour you a cup of coffee, but we have nice donor thank you bags going out at the end of the year here, and we're going to be including some Graham's blend from Maddie and Bella coffee roasters and all of those thank you bags. So, those are just a few of the organizations. There's others that give of their time and their energy and their expertise to help us do the work that we do. day in and day out. So again, a huge thank you to all of them. So now I get the honor of interviewing Dr. Summers.
Hi there, Nick.
Hey, Dr. Summers, how are you this evening?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we talked about, companies like Angel Eye and Pampers and Dr. Brown's. Those are companies, a lot of folks have heard about before. I'm guessing a lot of the folks haven't yet heard about First Day Healthcare. But my hope is that, a few years down the road, that we get to talk about First Day Healthcare being on the Inc. 500 list. But, we've got a number of, if everybody's, looking at the slide, and you can read kind of, get a little bit of an idea of what First Day Healthcare is all about. But it'd be great if you could just kind of share in layman's terms for the parents and those that are in the community on our event tonight. Share with us in practical terms what First Day Healthcare is all about.
Sure. Well, if you couldn't gather, I'm a neonatologist, and First Day Healthcare is what I call an e-NICU at home. There's a lot of terms you hear now, perhaps in the adult world, where they call hospital at home, where they're trying to provide more higher level of care, what you would receive in the hospital, but in the home. And I'm creating a platform that in the future, we could provide a level of care similar to what babies receive in the NICU, in the comfort of the home, particularly for what we call the feeder grower infants, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, because a lot of these babies could actually probably thrive better in the home, where they're trying to learn to eat while they're trying to, to get that stage. So that's the platform in a nutshell.
Well, I can tell you, as when we brought our daughter home, she was on oxygen and the pulsimeter. I probably totally hacked the name of it, but 8 different medications. I can't tell you how many what turned out to be unnecessary ER visits, because you call whoever's on call and you describe what's going on, and they don't know for sure. And so going to the ER, and by the time you end up seeing someone in the ER, it's probably whatever's the situation is probably past. I can just imagine the number of unnecessary ER visits that your solution could eliminate. And also, frankly, so many of parents, we lose the support that we've had and come to depend on in the neonatal intensive care unit, and then we're out there in the community with a pediatrician who, maybe you're lucky and you find one that really understands prematurity, but oftentimes you don't. You may be in a more remote location. I have to say, when I first started to hear this idea of telemedicine, which obviously COVID completely broke through a lot of barriers, but I first was thinking probably at least 10 years ago, I thought preemie parents would be an excellent use case for telemedicine, because we've been in the NICU for 3 or 4 months. We've all been hanging out on our phones, where most of us are comfortable with technology. And it just was such a natural, I felt, to be able to have the conversation with someone like yourself that's on call, understands all the dynamics of what, and for a lot of us, we are in that grower feeder for like 2 or 3 weeks, where, to your point, we probably, some of the issues that our baby may have to deal with are not going to go away in 2 or 3 weeks. It's a much longer journey. So I can tell you, from the time you first started, I know you've been at it for at least a couple of years, and it's a real passion. So I'm curious, what are, again, to me, no brainer. I'm sure a lot of other preemie parents are like, oh my God, this is like such a no brainer.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, So what are some of the what's some of the realities? Because I thought telemedicine 10 years ago for preemie parents was a no-brainer too. But it didn't. My opinion didn't mean that the medical industry was going to just say, "Oh yeah, Nicholas, that's a great idea." What are some of the practical challenges that you've faced in trying to implement this solution?
So whenever you're doing something new and revolutionary, there's always going to be challenges, and a lot of what I'm doing goes against sort of what the status quo and what's been going on for NICU graduates. And what I'm doing is really beyond just telemedicine. This isn't just
Yeah.
Talk to a doctor who understands neonatology or et cetera. This is really remote patient monitoring, remote patient vital sign monitoring. And I think the biggest challenge has been part of the frustration is that we send babies home often, like, on oxygen. Nowadays, over half of the babies with chronic lung disease are going with oxygen. And the care, from there, it's just very fragmented afterwards. And we send babies home often with a monitor, some type of monitor, but none of them are, connected to the internet. And parents are just grasping and, they asking us about our devices. And, they say to me, I'm willing to stay as long as it takes. I just want to know like my baby is normal child when they go home. And unfortunately, we can never give them that, guarantee. And to a certain extent, I think that this nomenclature of calling a child a NICU graduate, in some sense is misleading, because it's like, we put a cap on them and we're like, kick them out the door and we're like, you graduated, but the truth is you haven't graduated from your morbidities of being premature. Right. Yeah. And the biggest challenge to a certain extent has been the acceptance of the healthcare system, where to look at this as something that is not only needed, but could provide great value. And it's not, I would say, something that's called risky, because the healthcare industry, whenever they talk about pediatrics, they think of, pediatrics, especially this population, as being fragile. So it's okay to send a baby home on oxygen and some random pulse oximeter. But once you're intervening and showing the family that, look, we're not just, we're the address to where to go to, it's to a certain extent putting a target on your back. And the healthcare industry may look at that as risky. So some of my biggest challenges has just been trying to get the healthcare industry to see not just they understand the need, but the potential use for this as a future way of healthcare delivery, where in the future you could have care in the NICU one day, and then the next day you're being monitored in the home and have care provided by the same nurses and nurse practitioners who are taking care of your baby in the hospital. And you have your vital signs on the phone, you have your medical record in your app, you can share everything, you know where to turn to, and not just, struggling. And unfortunately, I've seen this firsthand with families just struggling. And that was my catalyst for creating First Day Healthcare.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think we have such a focus on the neonatal intensive care unit as this physical place, but yet we know, for those of us that have medically fragile babies, that's just where the baby starts its journey. But it's going to be it's a much longer journey. And wow, being able, an opportunity to be able to that continuum of care, because it just all goes out it goes out the proverbial door, just like the baby does. Yeah. Is there anything that we parents could do to help, help advocate? We're certainly trying to raise awareness. But
well, sure. I mean, you could see my information on my website, firstaid.health, or just Google First Day Healthcare. I'm on LinkedIn, and I mean, I could feel the fulcrum starting to turn now post COVID, and more, hospitals are interested, but just for, families could advocate and try to get hospitals to contact me to, we are doing already inpatient studies. We're going to be in the near future, because obviously before sending a baby home with something like this, the hospital NICU will want to see, that it's how it works, that it correlates to hospital monitors, but it's really just about to, get the word of our what we're doing to get our mission out. Would be the best.
So we have more. So there's more parents saying, "Hey, have you heard about first day healthcare?"
Exactly.
More people just asking about
Yes,
it.
I wish I could provide this now for every NICU grad that is leaving the hospital tomorrow. And my goal is someday, God willing, they will have that opportunity, because we all know that it's greatly needed. And my goal is to not just prevent readmission when you're concerned, do I need to go to the ER or not, but it's really to decrease the length of the NICU stay over time, which is definitely possible with this platform.
Well, Dr. Ross, we really appreciate you spending some time with us, and we're going to continue to advocate and support, and hopefully we can even have a deeper dive into your solution later in 2020.
Yes.
And just, again, continued success, and keep fighting on, because it's I think we preemie parents would pile on. It's a no-brainer for all of us.
Yes, I know, and you guys all deserve better than what our current situation is, and I'm not going to rest until we get there.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, you bet. All right, I know we're running just a little bit behind time. That's because I've had just such a pleasure with all the interviews that we had tonight. So we do have one more raffle item giveaway, and it's a little bit different. Things popping up. We got some Grams swag, and a couple of books for preemie parents, and it looks like a great little stuffed animal as well. So the winner of the third giveaway is Jasmine Modell. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Jasmine Modell. So again, congratulations, Jasmine. Now, as I shared earlier, Graham's Foundation has also updated our strategic plan to help really galvanize our focus and ensure that our time and our investments are aligned with our goals and objectives. So just sharing with you some of our strategic initiatives that we have coming up over the next 12 to 18 months. We're in the middle right now of a redesign of our website that will be very much a mobile forward, if you will, website. Again, looking at ways that we can improve the inclusivity of our support materials, ways to expand our mentor program, and also looking at finalizing the ability to move the MyPreemie app into the cloud. So reach out to me if you're interested in learning any more about our strategic initiatives, or if you have any interest in finding ways to support us with our initiatives. So now is the time for the fund portion of the evening. As you know, we have our Fund a Family, and this is the fundraising portion of the event. And it's just like it sounds. As you know, probably know, we at Graham's Foundation, we provide our support to any and all families coping with premature birth, regardless of socioeconomic status. We know that prematurity can impact anyone. We are able to provide our support services free of charge because of supporters just like you. Now, it costs us on average about $100 per family per year to provide the full spectrum of our support services. And fortunately, thanks to our longtime supporters, Tito's, donations for our Fund a Family initiative will automatically be doubled up to $4,000. So what we're going to be asking you to do is to fund as many families as you want. Every family is $100. And if we get up to 40 families in total, we will meet the total match from Tito's. Now, to add just a little bit of extra enticement and excitement, if you fund at least one family, you'll be entered in a drawing for a Tito's signed Squire electric guitar. You can't really, maybe it's a little bit small on your screen. Maybe you can see it, but you can see it's a nice, beautiful black and white Tito's branded Squire electric guitar. And if you'd like me to come and deliver it personally and play a little house show for you, I'd be happy to do that as well. Now, if we were at an in-person event, I would walk around the room and I'd ask you to hold up your bidder number and share with me the number of families that you want to support. So one family is $100, two family, 200, you get the math. But given that we're in a virtual world, what I'm going to ask you to do is to go to the comments box and just simply type in your first and last name and the number of families that you'd like to fund. All you have to do is go and put in your first and last name and the number of families that you'd like to fund. Now, I know it takes courage to be the first. I'm looking at the comments, trying to see whether or not, I don't know whether or not I can, whether or not I'm going to get the update. We can't do our work without without the support we received tonight and throughout the year. So we're hoping that we get some folks that are willing to share their name and how many families that they're able to share. Angie Anderson, thank you so much. 2 families from Angie. We appreciate that. You can see she's joining us from YouTube. That's super cool. Tammy, thank you. Thank you, Tammy. 2 families. Thank you. And I think, and by the way, yeah, so we did drop in the Fund a Family link where you can just go to the link, but we will send out an email to everybody that registered as well, and we will include the link in there as well. It's so difficult me doing this, and it's just silence. I can't go around the room and ask folks, but thank you. Thanks, Tammy. Thanks, Angie. We'll give it a couple more minutes. I know we're running just a little bit over, and I apologize for that. Thank you. Thanks, Mom. I'm allowed to say that. Thank you, Mom, for your support. I appreciate it. And for those of you, just so you know, when we do send out a follow-up, there's no time limit. So for those of you that maybe don't, are a little shy to put your name down tonight, you'll still have an opportunity when we send out the follow-up email. So I think we're going to continue, or I think we're going to continue on, but certainly thank you to those that made the commitment to help support us, and feel free to continue for the next few minutes while we wrap up the evening tonight. As we wind down this year's, I guess those were the instructions. I guess no problem. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. As we wind down this year's Teenies, I do want to take a moment to remember 2 individuals that we lost this year. Heidelise Els was a past Miracles Awards recipient, and we honored her work as the founder of NIDCAP. And Anne Marie Ross, she, along with her husband, Jonathan, supported Parents of Preemies Day events in Los Angeles for 5 years at their former NICU home at UCLA in Santa Monica. Our condolences to the L's and to the Ross families. November is Prematurity Awareness Month, but we preemie parents don't need a month to remind us of the importance of supporting our preemies. And November 17th is World Prematurity Day, but we preemie parents, we don't need a day either. However, we do appreciate the value of being able to amplify our cause, and we will be doing so throughout the month on all of our social media platforms. And if you feel inclined, certainly please feel free to join us. I'd like to wrap up the evening with a toast to our team and our volunteers at Graham's Foundation, to all of the medical professionals that support our families, to the friends and the family that support us, to all the preemie parents out there for doing everything you can for your babies. I raise my glass to you. And I just want to thank you again for your support of Graham's Foundation, helping support our effort to inform and guide parents of preemies so that they may confidently navigate the journey of prematurity. Thank you and good night.